If by any chance you've watched YouTube recently, you may have seen this button down here, the Ask button. So what does it do exactly? This is YouTube's official AI assistant. It's basically YouTube's way to summarize the video and also ask questions about it too. But the real big question here is, how good actually is it? First off, I'd like to note that because YouTube is buddy-buddy with Google, the AI program that YouTube uses is Gemini. Now, I've had some run-ins with Gemini in the past, and it's not the greatest thing ever, but it does get the job done. And before we answer our previous question, we need to go through a few other questions first. The most obvious one being, what can this thing do? Well, if you direct your attention back up to this box, you can see that there's 5 options here for you. The first 2 options will be to either summarize the video or recommend related content. There's typically 2 to 3 other questions listed under here, but those are always questions typically related to the video. So first off, let's hit the summarize video first. And not even 5 seconds later, we get a full summary of the entire video with timestamps included. And I have to say, this isn't the worst thing in the world. It's pretty clear and concise, and I have to say, the added bonus of timestamps really make it a cherry on top here. Now, I've mentioned in a previous video that you can use the YouTube AI to summarize long videos for you. That is if you don't have the attention span or the comprehension for it. I just want to make it clear that I'm not saying that if you use the AI, it automatically makes you incompetent or that you have a low attention span. But to be fair, attention spans have lowered quite a lot these days, and with the rise of short-form content, long-form videos are getting harder and harder to watch for people. And it's also worth mentioning that a lot of people these days are against AI, like completely. First off, I think AI generation to replace art is really bad. But if you're using AI generate to help you realize an idea and then create something based off of that later on, well, that's okay. I think everyone typically just jumps the gun and goes all gung-ho, oh, I hate AI, AI is bad and it needs to be destroyed. But I think we really need to take a look at all of its useful features, and not just the bad stuff. And me personally, I'm not 100% against it either. I mean, take a look at some of my favorite movies. These are all about AI. And I mean, yeah, they're robot movies, but I mean, come on, it's sentient AI. That's the whole idea behind it. So with their whole ideals, it's like, AI could be kind, it could have a heart or whatever. I don't know, that's just my take on that. Anyway, back to the summary thing. And again, the YouTube summary AI is honestly pretty good, but the main point I want to make here is that it should not be used to watch the video for you. As good as it may seem, it is still fairly inaccurate, especially with some of the timestamps sometimes. And honestly, you might even miss out on some stuff if you just used the AI to watch the video for you. Now, there is one case that I can think of where the opposite is actually true, and that information pertains to streams. If you didn't already know, I occasionally stream sometimes, and I have to admit they do go for quite a long time sometimes. And if you missed out, or weren't able to watch the stream, the YouTube AI really comes in clutch in this situation. You see, rather than trying to rewatch the entire stream, the YouTube AI can just summarize the entire thing for you with some timestamps. And I have to say, this is extremely useful, as it summarizes the entire stream. And I know that I'm using myself here as the example, but think of your favorite streamers. It can highlight some of the important or funny moments, and you can go and clip that. This is a really useful way for me to go back and find moments in my streams that I can use for other videos. You can also ask it some pretty specific things, like to timestamp all the times that gift cards were mentioned throughout the stream. And in a few seconds, you'll have all the timestamps where gift cards were mentioned. Now, this is not 100% accurate, and you may need to ask the question again, but 9 times out of 10, it's usually accurate enough to give you what you want. And now, it's time to move on to our next way to use the AI. Aside from its decent summary system, it also has a recommend related content option. So if you seem to like the video, you can hit the recommend related content button, and it'll give you some videos that are just like the one you're watching. Actually, doing a double take on that, they aren't as related as you think they are. The quote-unquote content that they're recommending to you will most of the time be shorts content. I think if the user wanted some YouTube shorts content that was just like this video, or I mean, even like remotely related to this video, they probably could have liked the video itself and then scrolled on shorts for a bit, and they probably could have gotten something similar to it. And while yes, the YouTube recommendations aren't like totally terrible here, I think the whole idea in this case is to recommend like actual long form content videos. And sure, the recommendations are fairly accurate. I mean, this was sort of a video about nostalgia. I think you have to dig into it a little bit more to understand that. But the AI seems to like think that's the sole focus of this video, but it really isn't. And I think what the AI should be trying to do is to recommend videos that are based off of, revisiting Roblox games. And I'm gonna be honest, I know that's not hard to find for it either, because I've seen those videos. I'm sure there's some more context that you could probably give the AI to recommend some videos if you type in something like, please recommend me some long form videos about revisiting Roblox games, or something of that sort. And I get it, like, the AI model is only as good as it's trained, but I think they could probably put a little bit more work into training them on the YouTube videos. And I think a place that they could start is actually recommending some long-form content instead of YouTube Shorts. And I'm gonna be honest with you again, I have never really liked the idea of the short-form content, and I understand that yes, I do make some sometimes. It's a great way to reach people and show some clips from your video to direct people to your channel. But that does not mean that that is a great way to consume content. And nowadays, the content of these short form content is a lot worse than usual. It's devolving into more mind-numbing brain rot type stuff that, honestly, it's a little horrific. But I'm not here to talk about the short-form content itself. I'm talking about how AI is trying to push that short-form content onto you. I'm not saying that AI is trying to make us stupider, but if you want a conspiracy theory, you can go after that. But nonetheless, there's still one more thing that we need to cover, and that's the questions themselves. But before I get into that, I have to cover up this ad down here with something because, well, now that I'm getting paid, no free advertisements. Sorry guys. Under the first two options to summarize the video and recommend related content, there's usually 2 to 3 more randomly generated questions that have to do with the video. And usually they're just your basic questions that, you probably could ask, and it could give you some extra context towards the video you just watched. And aside from all these, regular old boring questions, sometimes the recommended questions that it gives you are actually really funny. And I'll go ahead and show you some of my favorites here. And the first one here was from one of my streams. I don't remember which one, but the recommended question was what I called the viewers during the stream, and it timestamped every single one of them. I actually think that one was a little bit off in its timestamps, but it was fairly accurate, at least for the ones it did give. And the second question I got here was the recommended question, why, quote-unquote, Sigma respect? I find it genuinely funny that the AI picks up on some of the more, stupid stuff and then converts them into askable questions in its little recommended questions area. And for this last one, I'm gonna do a double feature with 2 screenshots here. With the first one, the AI recommended I asked what the P Island event was. And the other one was asking about the image I drew on stream, which is pertaining to this image that I used for a Be Right Back. Hey, if you have the time, stop by a stream. They get pretty fun. So, about those recommended questions. Are they really that good though? See, in most cases, the AI is only as good as the questions you ask it. But in this case, the AI is asking the questions for you. So there's a little less thought in the whole process of all of that. And I would even argue that if you're not watching the videos first and then asking the questions, you're kind of just fueling this endless cycle of mid-questions with mid-responses. And you gotta remember, if at any point you're using AI, there is a very good likelihood that you are also training said AI you are talking to. So let's give this whole YouTube AI thing a quick rundown. So let's look at the pros first. I think the summary is good. It's especially useful for people who had a hard time understanding the video. And it's also good for summarizing long streams that you might not have the time to watch. Another pro is the timestamps. It's giving you direct access to moments in the video that are based around either the summary or the questions asked. And this is also another really good way of finding things. And for the cons, I'm gonna point out the recommendations thing. I just don't think it's good enough. The recommendations are not fairly accurate, and it's going to favor short form content over, like, actual videos. If anything, creators need their long form content to be recommended even more than shorts are. But aside from the recommendations, I think the other con is the questions. Again, this AI is kind of like newer to the whole YouTube scene, so I guess maybe just starting out for, I don't know, maybe half a year, these questions aren't going to be the greatest thing. So I guess there's a little bit of lenience on that, but if you really need to ask the YouTube AI a question, I recommend watching a video first and then asking your own questions. But with that, I think it's time to come to a conclusion. Weighing the pros and cons, it honestly seems pretty balanced, but I think we need to pinpoint exactly how I feel about it. To label this AI as good isn't exactly the whole truth, but to label it bad isn't the truth either. So I'm gonna say it's mediocre, at best. Well, I think that's all I have to say about YouTube's AI. And if you made it this far into the video and you like this type of content, subscribe for more. But that's all I got for now, so in the meantime, stay crazy everyone, and I'll see you next time.